Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive, yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Ann Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Well, hello and welcome. This is Lori Spagna with you. Welcome to the Awakened, Elevated Human. It's so great to be with you here today. I love doing the podcast. I say this often. If you're enjoying the podcast, please give it a review or share it or post it. It really helps. It is a way that you get to demonstrate that you care and to be of service for what you're hearing, because there are so many out there, and I get it. It's just that mine is, I think, really unique. It's not regurgitated information, right? I think it's so unique. I hope you, if you're listening, that you see it that way too, because I get that this information is next level and not really available out there. So please share it. Sharing is caring. It's great to be with you here. And yes, it is me, Lori Ann Spagna, with you today for this episode of The Awakened Elevated Human. Today I am doing, so I started off the last two podcast episodes, they were going to be standalone on their own together. There was Nothing's by Accident, and then it was You Are Never Wrong. And these two episodes triggered for me the need for two additional episodes. And so if you haven't heard those first two, I really recommend you go back and listen to them. You don't have to listen to them necessarily in order, but if you do happen to do it in order, it'll make sense. This one is a third part of that, and it's going to be just brief. It's called Taking 100% Responsibility. I teach about this in all of my mentorship programs. Well, I only have the Sacred Visionary Mentorship Program, but in all my classes. And this is one of the hardest things to do. When I say I teach about it in all of my programs, it's also in the Sacred Membership. So the Sacred Membership right now is a standalone study at home for the most part, although that might change in time, but it's a study at home program with a lot of the smaller classes in there and intro classes and standalone classes. Sacred Membership is included in the Sacred Mentorship, which is a very high level, in-depth mentorship program. But within the membership is a whole class on ancient archetypes and working with your archetypical patterns. There's also a whole class on, there's so many classes in there, really fabulous classes. But one of the main themes in there and in everything I teach is taking 100% responsibility. Now, here's the thing about taking 100% responsibility is we immediately deflect to, well, there are things that are not my responsibility. Like I mean, I get it. Like, this is a major lesson of people, by the way, with the number 6 in their life path or a significant 6 in their birthday, because 6 is about responsibility. But this is why I say, yes, of course, there's things that are not your responsibility. Of course, you can't take responsibility for everything and everyone. You can't take responsibility for what's not yours to take responsibility for. Like, you can't take responsibility for someone else's free will choice, for someone else's actions, for someone else's behavior, for their choices, for their ways of being. Of course you can't. That's not what I mean when I say taking 100% responsibility. What I mean is taking 100% responsibility for that which is within your power to take responsibility for. What do I mean by that? What goes on in your mental plane, your mental body. Those are the things you think, the things you believe, your belief systems, belief structures, perspectives, ideologies, right? That's the mental body. You have a mental body. It is a plane of existence, if you look at it as a linear way, or it is an orb of a dimension of your consciousness, a field of consciousness that that is both within you and that you are within, in a sense, right? It's part of you. The mental body, you have to take responsibility for your mental body. And that's all the mental constructs. And it could include even thoughts and opinions that come into your field that are not even from you because you're super psychic, right? But a thought comes in your field, and if it's not yours, it doesn't matter. It's there, right? So what are you going to do with it? Like, do you want it to coagulate in your field if it's not serving you, right? So no one else can do that for you but you, because you're a free will thinker. And a lot of what you think and believe and perceive is either conscious or unconscious. It's part of your subconscious, your conscious, your super conscious. Those are the layers of your consciousness, right? From a mental perspective anyway, and energetics as well. So you're a conscious being becoming more and more conscious. If you want to become more and more conscious, you have to take full and complete responsibility for your mental body, your mental field. You also have to take full and complete responsibility for your emotional field, your emotional body, right? Those are the emotional sensations, right? That's been quite a challenge for me in this lifetime, I will say, because I'm a super sensitive with lots of energy in the emotional planetary bodies. Some people, it's both a blessing and a curse, right? I don't want to call it a curse. Cancel, clear, revoke, renounce. It's served me really in a lot of ways, but it also has been quite challenging. Like, I've had to work with that in this lifetime, but it's mine to take responsibility for. I have great capacity to love and care more than the average human being does. And at the same time, I have the capacity, and we all have this within us, but magnanimity is one of my great strengths. I can love people who I don't even necessarily like, right? Magnanimity, by the way, are codes you can activate in the DNA. You want that activated. It's your ability to love and accept even what you find is not necessarily that lovely or that acceptable, but it helps you to be a higher functioning being. Those are in the DNA, by the way, those codes. We activate them in the DNA membership, DNA activations. The next live one, by the way, is coming up. So head over to LoriSpagna.com under the live events tab and join us. You'll either see the 881, Lions Gate, or you'll see the 999 triple portal, whichever one's coming up next, based on when this podcast episode comes out. Okay, but we do have to take full and complete responsibility. When someone says, you made me feel this way, they're not taking responsibility for their own emotions. If they say, well, because of what you said, I am angry. No, you're having a reaction and a response, and you're responsible for that. Someone else is not responsible for how you feel. That's not an easy pill to swallow. I get it. Because in the old paradigm, we were taught that you're at the effect of someone else. This goes back to universal laws. Again, go back to the episode 3 episodes ago that was called Nothing's by Accident. That was a good episode. But You're in the old paradigm, law of cause and effect, we didn't really understand that necessarily. We knew consequences, which was like a punishment, but we didn't understand that your thoughts and your emotions are the cause. You are the cause of your experience. This is what it means to take full and complete responsibility for yourself, because no one can take responsibility for your emotional body. No one can take responsibility for your own emotions. No one can take responsibility for your triggers, for how you feel in response to something or someone. No one else can take responsibility for how you perceive things. No one else can take responsibility for your knee-jerk reactions or your gut responses or your gut actions. No one can take responsibility for your actions, right? Just like you can't take responsibility for someone else's behaviors or actions. So this is what I mean about taking 100% responsibility. And it's not easy to do that because we're evolving out of a paradigm that was based in blame. Blame, blaming someone else, and victimhood, meaning I didn't do that. I didn't do that mean thing or say that mean thing. Like if someone's mean and they hurt you, then you have a choice. Do I want to be hurt? Do I want to allow myself to be hurt by this person or what they said or did? Or do I want to take responsibility for the way that I feel? Or do I want to take responsibility even that I'm still interacting with them? That's challenging too, right? Or do I want to change who I am on the inside so that the way that they act or behave or the words that they use or the things that they say no longer upset or bother me? Right? This is what I mean about taking responsibility. Quite some time ago, I had someone in a mentorship program who really was very 3D. They had Reiki, I guess. They, probably were into law of attraction, but they just weren't ready for this level of responsibility. It's why I understand it's not easy to do that. It's just so easy to blame other people. That's how we've been trained. That's how we've been wired. But that really won't teach you to evolve. Like you won't get to a level of mastery if someone else is responsible for the way you feel. Right? Yeah, there's narcissists out there. Yeah, there's terrible people. Yeah, there's people who are going to harm you. Yeah, there's people who are going to say cruel things. Yeah, there's people who are going to trigger you. Yeah, there's people who are going to do things that are out of alignment with integrity or what you think they should do or how you think they should behave. That's going to happen. You're going to get triggered. And please listen to last week's episode for that. Next week's episode, I'm going to help you clear that stuff, all the triggers, right? How do you take responsibility? What do you do with it if you're taking responsibility? So please listen, watch next week's episode as well, because it's a 4-part series. But until you're ready to take responsibility for these things, and there's another level too, which is your karma dharma. Karma dharma, like humans are being liberated from our karma, which is the cause and effect relationships of the way we have behaved, thought, believed, perceived, emoted in the past, either in this lifetime or others. We're being liberated, but it doesn't happen entirely passively. You have to get on board with your own healing journey, right? There's free will choice. That's a law of the universe. Talked about that in the episode on There's Never Any Accidents. So it's up to you to say, I'm going to take responsibility for everything that goes on in my mental plane, in my emotional plane, in my physical plane, my ways of behaving, thinking, my attitudes. My physical plane is my actions and my activities. And there's your auric field. Okay, we could go on. There's the causal plane, which is where maybe some spiritual journey. There's your karma dharma, which is soul's agenda. Like your soul's agenda wants to heal or resolve. I talked about this last week in last week's episode. So taking responsibility is what allows you to reclaim your power. to do the transformational work that you need to do so that you can grow and evolve. And it's not always pretty, and it's not always perfect, and it's not always easy, and it's not always beautiful, but it is incredibly empowering and transformational, and will improve the quality of your life in every area of life, because as you do that, your role as you're navigating becomes more and more graceful, more and more easy. You're more and more empowered. When the world goes down in a handbag to hell in a handbasket, you're the light that everybody else can come to, because you're like, oh, I've got this. Right. This is why I say you become part of the solution, because now you're clear in your field, because you've taken responsibility for what's moving through your multidimensional field and through the planes of existence where your consciousness is existing, where you as an individuated being exist. I hope this makes sense. Taking 100% responsibility is one of the hardest things you will ever do. Because again, it's not taking responsibility for someone else. It's taking responsibility for everything that happens within you. That does include as well, like the food you put in your body and, the people you put yourself around, the environment you put yourself around, the environment you allow yourself to be in, you know, the stuff in your house. Are you using like artificial chemicals in your house? Are you using artificial substances? Are you interacting with AI? I'm going to do a whole episode on that as well, separate. Like, what are you interacting with environmentally? How is that affecting you? That all counts too. But even to your thoughts, your emotions. Now, a lot of people will say, I don't always know what my thoughts are. Well, that means you're not paying attention to your own self. Pay attention. I teach this in the psychic development class. I'll never forget in one of my classes, my earliest classes, I'll never forget this. And one of the students in there, she said, why is it important to pay attention to your own thoughts? I was like, well, how are you going to be psychic? How are you going to hear anything as a clairaudient, or see anything as a clairaudient, or sense anything as a clairsentient if you're not paying attention to what's in your energy field? You have to, right? You have to be paying attention to what's yours before you can even know or do a psychic reading for someone else. Like, you have to know the difference. So paying attention is part of taking responsibility, and then owning what comes up. And if a thought comes up that's not yours, knowing, like, is this mine or is this someone else's? Where did this come from? Like, if you get guidance, like, this is why so many channelers out there, even famous channelers, are channeling all kinds of entities. They don't even know who they're channeling. They think they know, because they haven't learned how to recognize the difference between what's coming to them or from them, or who it is, or what purpose does it serve, or, you know, what is the intention behind that being that they're channeling, or who are they serving, or who stands with them. These are all things I teach in my classes, but overall, taking responsibility for what's in your field doesn't mean you have to own it all. Some of it won't be yours, but taking responsibility, it's there. What do I do with it? Like, this is why so many super sensitive, highly sensitive beings. And, if you're listening to me, chances are you are. We're all highly sensitive. I did a whole podcast episode on that, how to function as a highly sensitive being. It's really a good episode. Go look that up and watch that one. But this is why so many highly sensitive beings are like, I don't want that energy. I don't like that energy. It doesn't feel good to me. Well, you're still pushing something away that you're recognizing, rather than taking responsibility for what your experience is going to be in relationship to that energy. So rather than fighting it and resisting it, there's a better way to deal with it, right? I teach that in the empathic sensitivities class, which is still available on my website in replay. This is why when we take responsibility for what's in our field, even if it's not ours, we become more empowered, more aligned with our source, more aligned with divine truth, more aligned with more of the divinity that we are, and more available for that divine source to flow in and through us, and to constantly replenish and refuel us, right? That's why we do that. And ultimately, not only does it improve our lives and the quality of our lives, it improves our relationships, and it improves the quality of how we live our lives. and how we restore ourselves to balance when we do get thrown off, if we do get thrown off, if something's really upsetting or derailing to us. So I hope that's helpful, okay? I'm not blaming anyone ever when I say this. I'm saying we're so empowered within us because we can take responsibility. There's no blame here. There's the remembrance. I am sovereign. I have the ability to govern myself from my non-physical thoughts all the way to my physical actions, including my emotional feelings, sensations, and responses. Emotionality is part of that too. And attitudinal adjustments that we need to make. As we take responsibility for those things, we can choose more consciously that which is more aligned with who we truly desire to be and the energetics that we truly desire to experience, which then reflects on the life that we desire to have. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to do one final in this 4-part series. I hope you will enjoy it. Please let me know. I love you guys so much. And please join us for the upcoming DNA activations webinars. There's going to be an amazing one on the Lionsgate 8-8, and then another one on the 9-9-9. Only true, real triple portal of this year. We're in the intensity window already now. I hope you will be with me. It's one of the most important things you can do for your awakening journey is to awaken the dormant capacities within you, stored in your dormant DNA. Head over to LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab to register for that DNA activations webinar. You'll see it says speed activations, DNA activations, and more. Okay, I'm sending you so much love. Until next time, farewell for now. All right, bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.